Cool. So I remember we spoke about this on Friday. Right, where's market open? Market open is around here, right? So what we were anticipating, right? What I was anticipating was I was wanting to see this liquidity be cleared. Right, I really wanted to see that. It would make a whole lot of sense because there's obviously inefficient pricing here, there's potential SC here, right? But that only signifies to me that in the long run, however how high this wants to go, in the long run, we have to come back to this area. That's all that shows to me. And I say that because every single time I've missed a POI, eventually price came to that POI, right? So for all I know now, right, this is liquidity, right? These are pretty relative. These, I think, pretty sure all of these were taken out by this wick. So I just consider these to be relative equal lows, right? Considering they're not even close to being equal, this could have been a mitigation move, which created the narrative to the upside to take out equal highs, right? We pointed out these equal highs a couple weeks ago, and it was just a matter of allowing structure to tell us that we want to go up there, right? Because for the most part, structure was bearish, right? Key rule in the structure video is you're in a downtrending market until lower highs are broken, which is here, right? So we just wanted that liquidity grab, right, to give us that really good RR to then take this to the upside. So I don't mind missing it, right? Especially because I say this doesn't seem like a schematic to me. Like it don't get me wrong, the characteristics are there, especially in EURUSD. But I'm not convinced. Especially because we literally just left liquidity, all here. So the fact that we didn't get this means we probably didn't get an LPS, right? So this means either one of these could be the LPS. But at this point, we're now in an SOS phase. If this is a true schematic, which I still don't believe it is, for all we know, this could just jump up and then die, right? We've seen that happen a lot with a ton of schematics because we didn't wait for them to complete. And then, that happens. So for the most part, EURUSD is, the exact same. And although it isn't, I'm not convinced there's a schematic. This is actually, I'm still trying to play it as it is, right? I'm trying to go against what I'm telling myself, right? I'm open to both outcomes, whether it's not a schematic or it is. So the reason I took this play here, distribution, schematic, 1. Right, it's because I'm anticipating this to just be a continuation. I don't anticipate a pullback, right? And so based off of that, let me show you guys the setup. Actually, I had it on the seconds time frame, right? I already have it here. So let me show you guys exactly what I was looking at here. So pretty much, right, I'm trying to read and understand the narrative, correct? And from what I see here, even look at that H1 structure, right, we have one massive drop, right? We pulled back, right? We struggled, right, to continue higher, and then we continue lower, meaning this is now the range that I'm supposed to be playing in. Let me delete this. So here, this is now the high and this is now my low, right? Because we have now created a new structure break. So I'm only trying to continue that, right? Because I'm trying to play the continuation, right? So even though there could be inefficient pricing here, I'm not worried about that unless this breaks, right? Because even if this breaks, right? This is a scalping break of structure, which is the initiation of an intraday pullback to whatever is here to then there, right? So I'm willing to play both scenarios, but I'm going based off probability, and I'm going based off of the fact that we struggled, right? Struggled, keyword, law of effort, to continue higher, but we created a lower low. We took this out. And so all I'm doing now is I'm trying to read narrative, right? So M30, right? 50% SC here, right? To get that previous candle there. And we had an impulsive move to the downside post candle. So 50% of that was the move there. So zooming in there, that happened during London. So I didn't get to catch that. And so, right, it's the same concept here, right? There's two, where's this at? Right, when coming back, right, into this, right, I'm essentially, marked out here, and I marked out here, right? I marked out two potential areas of interest, but I'm willing to play both because there's always the possibility that the second one won't hit, and the second one is pretty high, in my opinion, right? And also, notice that there is a 1 minute SC here, right? But there's no impulsive reaction. There is a stallment here. Price stalled. So that is not an automatic red flag for me in that case. But I'm still going to highlight it just in case, right? Whereas here, right, this is the pullback for this structure, right? Bullish structure here, pulled back, right? We could not create a higher high. But notice price stalled again here, right? We struggled. There's not enough effort to create that higher high. So inevitably we came lower, and that is this structure break here, right? There is now very deep retracement, relative equal lows, even though this could be a mitigation move based off of that wick. So what I'm trying to do now is find the best way to catch the best trade here, right? So as I said previously in that M30, right, notice that this stalls and then creates the lower low based off of this low. Right now I'm trying to play inside of this structural range, right? But I will play this structural range if this is cleared, right? So I'm always open to every scenario there, especially because actually no, there is an equal highs there. See, liquidity grab there. So let me show you the entry. So it's actually a 30-second, I believe. Yeah. So, right, I believe this was M1. Yeah, so you see this whole entire M1 wick, right? This took out that, right? Liquidity grab here to take out that liquidity, and then we mitigated here. So I'm just trying to catch the mitigation of the mitigation, right? Look at 30-second, right? And the same thing, same concept here is with the wick, right? Wick here. But let me fast forward a bit. So, right, so 30-second, right? We see that the original POI, which I didn't take the trade from, right, pretty much got taken. It got taken here. So now this is the area of interest potentially, right? But then from here, right, we have the bullish structure. We come back. I don't consider this a BOS. I'd consider that a micro BOS at best. I would not consider that BOS. I consider this the higher low of this, right? But notice from here, we did not create a higher high, but we led to the break of structure there. So from here, essentially all I did was have this as my POI, but I had a conservative stop of 2 pips. right? Because let's be realistic here, guys. I'm not about to have a 0.5 pip stop. Like let's be realistic here, right? Even under 2, like you know, I like to stay away from under 2, but I kept that at 2. Right, at spread that's 3 ish, right? But just 2 there, and that 2 pip stop was the continuation here, previous low, and then my second target was actually my first swing target was, this is where the schematic, quote unquote schematic, started, which was here, right? Buying climax, automatic rally, meaning these are your range parameters technically. So that's a target for me because that is a very significant previous low. So that was that, and that's still going. But honestly, I'm looking for a pretty much a buy scenario at least next week, right? Anywhere on there, or hopefully 1.15. I was looking at 1.15 due to the weekly structure, but let's go back to this. I was looking at 1.15 because of this previous inefficiency here. So if we tap this, reject this, and go forward, this has no reason to come back, in my opinion. It has no reason to come back here or here ever again, or not ever again, probably for like the next couple years. But even though that's been a bit stale, GU's been stale to me too. I'm not really too focused on it, even though I don't think this, I don't believe this move will sustain itself. I really don't believe that will sustain itself, especially because it's dominant volume. Yeah, I don't think it'll sustain itself, right? I just don't know how much farther this wants to go. And let me tell you more too here. Right? Gradually decreasing bearish volume, right? And we created a low, right? Even challenged the previous high here, and we gave this without no strong volume. So I don't think this will sustain itself. Don't quote me on that though. I'm not really trying to look for any buys on this just yet. I don't see any POIs. I don't want to guess this bottom either. So I want to see how the week, and especially how next week closes, because next week, right, is not only the monthly, but it's also the quarter closure. So I'm going to be looking at my pairs and seeing how those turn out. I have been looking at EG, right? So you guys know for the most part I look at EUGU, DXY, right? But I have a 5-pair list that those are the only pairs I will ever look at, and then those 2 pairs are pretty much the pairs that I consistently look at, right? So I trade AU, GU, GA, EG, and EU, right? Those are the only pairs I've traded honestly in the past year. I don't think I've even looked at any chart for any other pair. So occasionally I'll look at EGGA, AU, right? And I like being versatile with them because obviously they're different currencies, different pairs, and when some pairs range, others won't. So let me show you too. Right, the EG, right, I was gonna be worried, right, as I said, if we broke that high, excuse that line, and we technically broke it there. Not technically, we technically just had a liquidity grab occur, but immediately from the liquidity grab, right, the low, right, that caused that was broken. So now this is a break of structure to me. So this move here could have been just a retracement, which then caused to the next break of structure. So honestly, I just want to see something, a little pop, right? Inefficiency, potential SC. I don't see it coming back up here. I really want to see something here during London, and then continuation New York, and then hopefully we melt, right? So hopefully this plays out because I explained it all to you guys, and I'm very confident in it, right? I'm confident it will happen. I'm not sure it'll happen this go around, but it's really given the signs, right? But to an extent, you can also say it's looking too easy, with the whole bear flag there. But who knows? Maybe we'll just come back to this open of this H4 and then just dive from there. So there is one more that I want to go over, and that was AU, and that's because what's his name? Yo, hold. Why is this guy starting to bark right now, man? Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. All right. Cool. So let me tell you why I was looking for this reversal first of all. All right. So I've been in from up here, and I'm pretty sure I showed you guys the entry, so go to the zooms during this time because I don't have the markups for them, and it'll take me way too long to go figure out exactly where I entered and why. But I'll give you the whole overall narrative. And right, so let's say we are here. Right, we were this closure was happening when I started looking at this, right? And something that really just appealed a lot to me was the fact that we had corrective structure, right? And then we out of nowhere we just see volume come in, right? And not to mention each candle's getting bigger, kind of, but we have that diminishment in volume there, right? Go to H4. Right, we had this bearish push here, which was news. I'm not really too concerned with that. But as we were climbing up, volume was not increasing, right? Meaning there's probably a reason as to why, this is happening. And when we're correlating that to price action here, well, we already created the high on that volume. Jesus. All right, cool. So we created that high, right? And we had pretty much strong volume there, but then we had a strong move to the upside with no volume. So it doesn't make sense, right? What does that mean? Instability. It doesn't make sense. And from there, right, that's what caused that. But my entry was somewhere. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on a call before. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure. But it was pretty much, right, that break of structure, right? And I say that's a break of structure because I consider this to be a bull flag, right? This is our solidified low here, right? This last push could not take out that previous low, and now that broke structure, right? Because the narrative here is essentially there's potentially an SC there, bull flag, I'm sorry, and you want to fly from there, right? Which is technically what happened. We had a bullish impulse from there, right? Which broke scalping structure, but not intraday structure there. So any pullback will just be a continuation, right? But there is a pullback, right? But there is no follow through. So that caused break of structure. So that break of structure happened, and I entered somewhere around here. And I remember because it was during overlap. But I remember entering here. And essentially managing the trade from there was right, I'm looking at H1, and this is one of my first targets, right? You see this volume just coming out of nowhere. This is the last time we had a significant pullback, right? That really broke any type of lows to then cause that high, right? That was tested and broken. So to me, that is a very crucial, very crucial break of structure, because now the volume is supported, right? The volume narrative that I mentioned from the beginning is supported, right? We pretty much, right, came back down with momentum, and we've already tested and broken, right? So this test here, right, in real life, if you see that, you're going to assume continuation, right? Morningstar, is that a Morningstar? I don't even know the names anymore. I don't use them, right? So that would be a continuation to the upside, technically based off of structure, right? But I'm trying to take this to a more logic basis, and not to mention we're extremely overbought. Not to mention, like, look at this, right? I'm not trying to look for any long-term buys here, right? Obviously, I'm not saying to force a retracement, but I'm not going to buy this high. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Hence why I haven't really been buying EU, right? Just because we're so high as well in there. So, right, this, right, which could have been a potential mitigation, broke structure. Right, broke structure, pulled back, right? But then we failed to continue higher here, right? So now we have essentially a mess to me, because we have a liquidity grab there, but there's a breaker structure there. So there's two possibilities here. We can start a flag, or we're going to start ranging for, you know, a good couple days, right? So when I'm in any type of doubt like this, zoom out, right? I let time take its course, right? Eventually, it's taking too much effort, as you can see, to continue higher, right? And then all that happens from there, break of structure there, mitigation there, come back down, right? And that's what started the free fall. And from a just overall basic perspective, bear flag, right? But the whole basis was essentially effort, right? There's no volume supporting a very impulsive move, right? And then at the end, you see the same thing that you're seeing on H4 from a bigger perspective. You're seeing it here on the smaller perspective. You're seeing it here. Where was it? Oh, maybe it was the same thing. Okay, I don't remember what I said. But you understand the point that I'm trying to make. All right? It's effort. Right? Impulsive move. No volume carrying it. Instability shown. My entry was around there. Right? And that will at least cause a reaction, in my opinion. Every single time anything like that happens, in my opinion, you will get a reaction. So that pretty much covers it, I think, for today. Yeah, we went GA. Oh no, I didn't go through. Yeah, one more, GA. Right. So GA I traded during London. Right, and unfortunately I only caught a continuation here. Right, so just to show you, right, I traded right here, which was right after London. So looking at intraday structure, right? Well, before that, right, let's go to the weekly. The same thing is happening here, in my opinion. Diminishment of volume. This low has just been tested, right? Not to mention we're very oversold here, right? So pretty much what I'm seeing is we've taken out this low and we've taken out this low, right? This is a very crucial low, because this is the low that created the high of last year, right? Or of this year, I'm sorry. That created the high of this year. And to have that be taken without you know, a very impulsive move, it really goes to show that that could probably be a sign of, you know, potential reversal. So I'm going to go to H4 here. Right, so we pretty much have the final move down, right? Meaning this is a first target for a bullish bias if it even plays out, right? But I'm looking at intraday timeframes in this scenario. And what I'm seeing here is, right, this is your high, this is your low, right? I'm seeing consistent bullish structure, right? We didn't create a higher high here, but we didn't break any higher lows, right? Meaning structure is still bullish, right? Every single low, no low has been broken, right? And I consider this a low, not this a low, because this is the low that came back here. And pretty much this final higher low, right, created this higher high here based off of this. So we're continuing, right? Very messy, not really tradable. I wouldn't have traded that. That's not really tradable to me, right? Until I saw this. This huge, you know, sign of momentum is what's showing me, right, that we're either gonna have a liquidity grab, right? But usually when that happens, you usually see it go right up and then come right back down. Whereas it's here, you saw it go up and then it stalls and goes up. So I'm only trying to catch the continuation, right? And this is a pretty cool little study, actually. Right, so here was the very impulsive move that we just talked about. All right, so this is a very impulsive move here. So based off this time frame, my inefficiency is here to there, right? But in my opinion, you can probably find a way better POI than that. But all this is a reference point to me. It's nothing more, right? I'm waiting for any type of reaction here, right? So when we fall into those smaller time frames, right, this looks like gibberish to the normal eye, but if you really read it, it'll make a lot of sense. Right, so we have our bearish structure, right? But there's something very alarming to me here. So this is a relatively where that point of reference was, right? It's this low, right? Notice there is very high volume there, right? So this is something that's, you know, I've brought it up a couple times over the past couple months, right? In regards to Wyckoff, what that means, right? I love to see a buying climax or a selling climax have that high volume, right? That's pretty much one of the biggest, you know, alerts for me that potentially we could see some type of accumulation or some type of distribution occur, right? So as soon as that high volume came in, we gave a pretty decent reaction here. So this is obviously your automatic reaction, right? You have a test of this high volume, which is your ST1, right? So from there, that tests your range again. Let me make this better looking. All right, we came back to mitigation there, right? We then came down, right? Very impulsive move, but keep in mind there is no volume, right? We had a liquidity grab, came back with no supporting volume, right? And when we're looking at this from a structure basis too, right? These are lower highs, right? This created technically a lower low. This is now your lower high, but there is no lower low created. If anything, from here, we had the momentum shift, right? So this was my automatic first sign of optimism. And this could be my ST2, right? So now there's the scenario of either having a spring occur or having an LPS occur, right? So I'm going to anticipate both, right? I'm not trying to catch the spring, but there's always the possibility there can be an LPS after the ST2, or I could just catch the LPS after the spring, right? So there's two scenarios there. So all I'm doing now is following order flow here, right? So we had the liquidity grab, right? We had the inefficiency fill, right? We had the mitigation here. So my play was here. We had a sign of optimism shown here at the scalping BOS, right? But this intraday, these intraday highs are still intact. Keep that in mind. But my risk is here, and I entered after the indecision candle. So I got probably like a pip, two-pip drawdown. And this is like a three-pip. Yeah, three-pip. So, well, I'm not even going to do that. Right, so that's a three-pip. Right, now, the only way I'm going to go break even is if the nearest high is taken, correct? So what happens from here? We get the bullish reaction, right? But as I'm managing this, right here, right, what's happening here is actually there. This is the bottom of this wick. So when I'm managing this, I do not want to see this low break, right? So if anything, if you want to be very conservative in this scenario, you can put your stop probably around there. So it'd be like 1 pip, 2 pip in profit. So it's the same thing as pretty much putting it to break even, right? But my break even rule is to have this break, right? But when I'm managing it and I'm actually looking at it, then this would be my point of pretty much the final stand of this scenario. So from there, as you can see, right, this happened, right, mitigated that here, right? So I consider this now my LPS. That's so ugly, I'm sorry. Consider that my LPS because, right, we're showing signs of order flow to the upside, right? This mitigation of this wick probably mitigation of that, and then this wick mitigation of that. But right after this mitigation, well, I'm sorry, before this mitigation, right, this is where we finally saw the breaker structure. There. That is the breaker structure. This is the optimism shown that I talk about, right? So now this is completion of phase C, I believe. And now from here, all this is showing that there is bullish structure is in play now. So considering this is the low, this is the high, this is my equilibrium, that's my discount, which is from here. Right, so then this creates a new higher high, right? And then here we mitigated that, and that created that. Right, so does that make sense? Very, very detailed, but comprehensible. And then this, so this went for, I don't know if this is still going, but yeah, this went for 200 pips. All right, keep in mind that's just a continuation. However, I'm still technically bearish on this until this high breaks, right? However, I already covered myself by buying, so now I can just try to look for bearish scenarios and test them out, see if they work. If not, then I'll be right anyway. And then at the same time, like it is AU and GA, so I'm kind of inverted on a bias there. So I wouldn't want to sell this if I'm selling AU, right? So obviously, like I said, most correlations are bullshit, right? But I'm not gonna buy AU and GA, right? It doesn't make sense from a swing macro perspective, right? Not from an intraday scalp. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got for today. Damn, 35 minutes. That kind of took my breath. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? Nobody? Did everybody get what I was saying? Did everybody understand, you know, pretty much where I was coming from in each scenario? All right, cool. Bet. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm done for today. Unless you guys have any questions. It's already, yeah, it's already 9:50. Damn. Yeah, I mean, unless you guys have any questions, I'll gladly end it here.
Yo, Fredo.
Uh-huh.
For the EU trade, I know we were trying to catch it earlier. When I was trying to catch it like from a larger time frame, looking for like inefficiency, like 50% of fields. It just kept going. I didn't know where to get in at.
Well, this is where, like I said, right? What did I derive this from originally?
Much larger time frame, I think.
No, I derived this from the distribution schematic, understanding the logic behind
Yeah,
Wyckoff.
yeah,
Right? So I know because the schematic usually, right, the last two LPSYs, which are here, they don't give those pullbacks. Right? And that's just experience talking, bro. You see from just the like somebody that joined RCV yesterday, he would automatically want to wait for this premium.
yeah,
Right? But this is where the Wyckoff comes into play. Right? Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah.
So there could be inefficient pricing here, right? But that doesn't mean buy it to here, right? That obviously means that if it comes here, take the short, right? But you always have to keep adapting with it. And this is actually, if you study, if you study the structure here from an intraday perspective, it'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I can see it now. From 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you see, when that happens with me, obviously, first off, directional bias, and then, right, depending on my time of day, right, usually I like to see reversals either during early London or during overlap. So that means that the time span isn't, you know, you don't have a lot of time, so you got to be realistic with it, right? If price is here, right, at 7:30, it is not realistic to try to short up here, because if it's gonna short, it's probably gonna short then.
Yeah.
Right, so it's about being realistic with it.
And see, what's this price right here? What's it, 17,700 or what's that, 18?
1770.
Go up a little bit. It's over to your left. It's like a little inefficiency right there. I
Yes, sir.
would try to like to aim for that, but
See,
man,
oh,
he
okay, so
definitely really hit 50%.
this would have been just a straight up continuation. All right, can you fucking load? Yo, what's going on? irritating. So you were trying to catch which one? This one. All right, that was the 21st. That was, okay, Monday. Yeah, I didn't trade Monday. Yeah, so let's say, right, so I see 2 wicks here. This could have been an efficiency too. That could have happened.
Yeah.
So even though you missed this, right, you now have a break of structure on this scalping time frame. So now this is your range. This is your low, that's your high. Right, you obviously want the premium, but following order flow here, right, there was one push up there, there's another push up here, and that actually perfectly came right back to it. Right, so even though you miss the 50%, right, that 50% is negated to me once the structure breaks, because now I have a range to play in. Yeah, but this is messy, man. I wouldn't have taken this. I wouldn't have taken that. I'm not selling this low, bro. Especially because we're seeing potential corrective structure here. I'm not selling this low without reason. Because that was Monday. That was the 21st, right? Yeah, so it was around here.
Okay, so you kind of expecting like a correction before going lower?
Quick question, why did you take the third candle from the SC candle? What are you talking about? Yeah, so I typically, bro, I really want to see pullbacks for the most part, unless what last example? You're talking about this? You're talking about here? Because I'm following order flow. That's just exactly what I did with the GA. Right? So this isn't the SC, bro. This is such a misconception. Right? This is not the SC because there's stuff happening inside a smaller time frame, and you can see that by the interruptions here, the pretty much the stallment here before we actually go down, right? Usually I want to see something like this, right? The push up. Actually, no. Or I want to see something like this, right? The push down and then the push up. This is what I want to see to make this a valid SC. That didn't happen here, right? That means that there's something in smaller time frame here. Right, so there's a push up, there's a push down, and then there's a stallment, meaning there's probably a buy to sell candle here, and then there's probably a buy to sell candle here. So I'm assuming that this buy to sell pretty much mitigated this one. So now I'm trying to play this candle's range. Yeah, so then from there you could either play an efficiency and have your stop on top of the candle. Ooh. Yeah, that would be 3-pip, see? Or you could have waited for the open, but that's extremely tough to catch. Looks like it was only there for like a second at best. But yeah, aggressive but conservative, right? Aggressive because we're pushing tight stops, but conservative because we're following rules and trading plan. So yeah, are we good to end it off there, guys? Yeah, make sure you guys hop on Sergio's calls too. He gets pretty sad when you don't get on it. He's always telling me behind the scenes. Yeah, you be at work. He said it's okay. You can watch the recording. Been having mad tests. Can't relate. I hop on sometimes when I'm awake. Right, like you see this stuff everywhere. Like for example, right? Who here recalls what I said about AU like 20 minutes ago? About why pretty much it pretty much came down. Liquidity grab. Right, even here, M1 EU, you see it. Oh yeah, but hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording there though.